What's up, YouTube? This is Jake with Wilderness is Bliss, and this is part 2 of the Igloo IMX cooler review. Now, as you can see from the title of the video, this is going to be a ice torture test, as I'm calling it. The reason we're calling it a torture test is because it is the middle of July in Phoenix, Arizona, and it is hot. So as far as ice retention tests go, this is going to be about as good of an example as you can get. Now, on top of that, we wanted to change it up a little bit for our ice retention test. There's already a few other videos out there on ice retention on this Igloo, and there's plenty of other ice retention tests out there on YouTube or on the internet for these other coolers as well. And the theme I've found in most of these ice retention tests is that everybody opens the cooler, they dump it full of ice, and then they let it sit in the back of their truck, or they let it sit in their yard, and then once a day they go open it and they go test it and say how much ice is left, what's the temperature like. That's just not really realistic for most people. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to fill this thing up with some beer, some drinks, some food, and I'm actually going to kind of use the cooler as my fridge this week to an extent. Obviously there will probably be a few things I still leave in the fridge, but I'm going to put some bacon, some eggs in here. So my goal is to open it at least 10 or 15 times a day, just to mimic what you would really be doing in the real world, because most people, when they take a cooler somewhere, it's because they're going to use it. It's not just going to sit there closed the whole time. All right, well, I'm done yapping. Let's go ahead and get this thing set up. I'm gonna move it out into the yard. I'm gonna fill it up with ice, and then we'll go from there. All right, so as you can see, starting out here, exactly as you probably would if you were loading up your cooler or you're going camping. Nothing in here, no ice. I'm gonna put all the stuff in first, then we're gonna fill it up. I'm gonna put a lot of beer in here just to fill up the space to make it realistic. Some frozen chicken breasts, some sausages, there's some eggs, some leftover potato salad. Okay, so it's not much, but hey, you get the point, right? Oh, I almost forgot. Bacon. What's a camping trip without bacon, right? I realized I failed to mention it's 100 degrees right now, which is actually extremely mild for this time of the year. Should be about between 105 and 110 most of the week. So that's that. Honestly, I think I'm gonna go ahead and grab one of these beers right away because I'm hot. I've earned it. Cheers. Okay, well, it's been just about 24 hours since we put the ice in the cooler. Just wanted to say hi. And I moved it over here to a shadier spot. I had it over there, but as you can see, it gets a lot of afternoon sun, and because we're trying to be realistic here with this test, wanted to keep it mainly in the shade, because obviously if you go camping, you know it's going to be hot. At least for me, I always put my cooler in the shade, and that's actually kind of realistic. We'll usually put it somewhere, and then later on you might realize it's still going to get sunny and move it to a different area. So here it is right here. We'll open it up. Opened it a bunch of times today, got some drinks out, got some bacon and eggs out this morning. Okay, so we've definitely lost some ice. And let's take some temperature readings here. Yeah, 35, so that's good. it's under 50. So everything's down here at the bottom of the eggs. Looks like it's just about 35. So it's probably not too bad actually, but definitely want to move my meat over here to the ice side at this point. So there you are, day one. Still looking pretty good here. Okay, so it's been 48 hours. Let's take a look. And we are definitely losing some ice. Still a good amount though, and very cold. Whew, yeah, okay. Still got very cold water. Low 40 still, so that's good. Egg itself, you can see right there around that mark. Still so far very cold. Everything's good. And yeah, we're obviously kind of getting to the point where probably gonna have to ditch the dry basket and start having stuff there in the ice, because it's gonna start melting to the point where it's too far above it and not gonna be cold enough for some of the stuff. So always important to have Ziplocs. Those plastic egg containers are awesome. It's been 3 days, 72 hours. See what we're working with. And you can see still got a pretty good amount of ice. I mean, it's definitely melted, but whew, especially over here where there weren't many drinks. Extremely cold, obviously. Lid's pretty warm at this point. Oh, look at that. Bottom of the egg carton still under 48 degrees, which is pretty awesome. So still doing pretty well. What's going on? Anything good in here? Oh, she wants that lunch meat. Okay, so day 4, and we're just about out of ice. I wish I started filming this a few minutes earlier before I got the water all nasty. I forgot to close the Ziploc, and so we got some lunch meat kind of making the water milky, but there's actually still a little bit of ice. And I was saying I wish I opened it earlier, because you could really see that over here on the right where I didn't have anything, where it was just under the tray, the dry tray, there was so much more ice than over on the left. So I think that's just kind of a great example of how, you know, if you're using it, you're gonna be losing ice a lot more versus if the ice is just sitting here in the cooler. So here we are at 4 days. It's 110 right now, but it's still extremely cold. So we'll see kind of what everything's at. Okay, so the hot dogs, it's saying, are around 50 degrees. It looks like eggs are again kind of in the upper 40s. Well, all right, I think that's gonna end the video for us actually, because testing the temperatures there, with everything was above 40 degrees. So the sausages, the eggs, obviously the drinks are going to be above 40 degrees. So even though it feels pretty cold, the 4-day mark, it's pretty much at the point where the only thing you would really want in the cooler are drinks and things that aren't perishable. So yeah, that's gonna end this part 2 of this Igloo IMX cooler ice torture test. And honestly, I think the cooler did pretty great considering the circumstances. It's been at least 105, more around 110 the entire time. I tried to keep it in the shade for the most part. It did get a little bit of sun, which that kind of mimics probably what would happen if you were camping. But again, most people aren't out camping in 110 degree weather. So for the fact that we got 4 days out of this while continuously opening it all the time, like I said, I used it kind of a little bit as a fridge with my lunch meat and some drinks in here, bacon and eggs and stuff like that. So it lasted 4 days, and that's pretty good. I would say this is a great you know, long weekend cooler. It's a great little 3 or 4 day camping trip cooler. And if you live in a more moderate climate, you're probably going to be able to get, you know, 5, 6, potentially even the 7 advertised days that they say this thing can hold ice for. Now, it does say on the website ice retention is up to 7 days, and I think this test right here is case in point. Just depends on the environment. If you're out somewhere where it's super hot like this, you're not going to get 7 days out of it. So we're going to go ahead and call it at that and say 4 good days of ice here in the desert in the middle of July. Let me know what you think. We actually have a canyon cooler as well. I have access to a Yeti or two, so maybe we can do a little test here out in this brutal environment with a couple of them and see which one really holds up. So there we are. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you didn't see the first video, I'll link it, and it'll be here at the end. Take a look at that. That's where I kind of just share my general thoughts on the cooler. Don't be afraid to leave a comment as well. Tell me what you think. We're always open to feedback. If you think there's some other things we should incorporate in upcoming tests, if we end up doing this again, let us know. Catch you next time.